I guess I can go ahead and start. How's everybody's con starting? I know it's beginning of the day, first day, but I hope everybody's doing good. Hey, that's what I like to hear. Hopefully we can continue making it enjoyable, and hopefully we can help you learn some stuff too. Sorry, say it again.
This is the first thing I'm doing.
Nice. Yeah, no, we figured that a lot of people, this will be the first part of the day, so I appreciate you for starting your day out with me. I'm gonna get a little bit of water here so that way my voice doesn't crack in the middle of speaking. Of course, right? I would expect it. Oops, excuse me. Oh, and he trips again. All right. So, have a little bit of an itinerary here, but we're going to try and keep it as a dialogue. Just kind of want to talk to you guys. Just let you know that I'm here as a resource and just let you know who I am. So, I'll go ahead and start. My name is Mark Bandy. I am an independent comic book creator by night, but by day, I am a biomedical engineer. I decided to, after pursuing hard engineering for a very long time, I decided to fulfill myself by starting my own art company. So I publish and produce my own comic books with Crimson Sleeper Studios. We are actually in the Creators Corner over at CC5 if you want to come by and say hi, or if you want to talk more stuff, because I'm always here for questions. So with comics, especially whenever it comes to indie stuff, right? It's all about having a dream and trying to manifest it, right? But dreams have realities, and unfortunately, marketing can kind of be a part of that unfortunate reality. And as a person who went to school for engineering, and it was what my mom wanted me to do because she thought it would make me successful, sticking it out through something that you don't necessarily like can be beneficial if you have a healthy amount of self-respect. One, don't think you're too serious. That works both ways. And then two, understanding that everyone has to do it, right? Marketing is part of the job. If you have a product, you have to market it. Otherwise, people just don't know about it. It's like kind of like how, like it's like you. People don't know about you, they won't know about you. So that's hard, right? It's always hard to try and figure out how to stop marketing from being this kind of sore subject in my life. So I want to ask you guys, when I say marketing, this word that kind of, you say it with a little bit of zazz, right? To try and get it out your mouth. What's the first thing y'all think of when y'all think of marketing?
It's my major.
Nice, okay. So it's a very important part of your life. Okay. What else?
Social media.
Social media is a very big one. We're definitely going to be talking about that today. It can be a game changer if you use it correctly. It can also feel like you're not going anywhere if you're not locked in. But we'll talk about how you can fix that and also how to make sure it doesn't feel terrible. Because as a person who, trust me, I don't want to have to be on social media any more than I want to be because of how long it takes my hair to do. 2 hours before I got my hair braided, it takes me about 2 hours to get ready for a video or whatnot. Being able to just pop up and do something is a lot easier, right? But so that's my intro on me. I'm Mark, engineer by day, comic book writer by night. But there's something that you can always apply from your day job to your night job, right? So I do engineering, but I do product management side of things specifically. I'm very much into the JIRA side of stuff. Now, it's not what I went to school for. I went to school to, quote unquote, fight cancer because I didn't want to fight countries, because that's what most engineers are unfortunately going to be forced to do when they graduate. I was like, why can't we fight cancer, guys? And when I realized that there are no cancer fighting jobs out there, then that's when I decided to kind of get into the product management space and think about how we can try to engineer from different angles, right? Because everything can be put into building blocks, right? And that there, right? There was this want to be serious, right? And it can sometimes be hard to want to be serious about our art because it's something that we love. We do it to fulfill ourselves and make sure that we feel seen. So maybe it's something that we want to give to our community or the people around us. And it can feel really hard to come outside and put yourself out there with what that can be. But if you're true to yourself, it can be a lot easier because you're speaking from a place of sincerity. I find that to be very, very helpful. And I think it's also important to remember, because this ugly, nasty word, right? When we spend all this time on our art, we don't want to let marketing somehow make us the bad guy, right? It can be very easy for marketing to kind of put us in this space where you constantly feel like you have to go and talk to people. You constantly have to say, hey, how are you doing? You might even feel like a carnival barker. It's hard to put yourself out there and for it to feel like you're doing something correctly and you're not bothering people by saying that you have a dream, right? And that's something that really it's been something I've wrestled with as I've been trying to do this, but it's also something that has kind of helped me whenever I don't know where to go. If you don't know what direction's north, just be true to yourself. It sounds cliche, but it's that seriousness aspect, right? When you're serious and you're true to yourself, you'd be surprised what you're able to kind of articulate out to a crowd. So it's always about checking that fear of being the bad guy. And I say this as a comic book writer. I'm in the business of making bad guys, if you will. And it can sometimes be very much a reality to not do that, especially in the social media world we're talking about. Sometimes it can be easy to want to rage bait to get people to look at you. Maybe you say something that's antagonistic, so that way you can get more eyes on something that you put a lot of work on that maybe people didn't care about when you did it the quote unquote right way, right? Well, you can take other avenues to be able to get that same effect. Now, to be fair, the rage baiters, they get numbers. They do numbers. I cannot even pretend their business model does not benefit them. But I do wonder about the professional visibility of their brand, of their product, of themselves as a person. They are putting themselves out there in a way that is naturally going to take flack. So what if you don't want to do that? What if you don't want to be the guy anytime a new trend happens, you want to rage bait online so that way people care about you in your comic book? It comes down to making it very important for you. And it's that seriousness thing again. So what does that necessarily mean, serious for you? Well, you know what you need to succeed. No one else does, straight up. You know who you are more than anyone else. And that's going to help you with marketing because no one else has to market like you do. It's also in reverse. If you can take yourself and put yourself into a place where not only your product, but you are in a good position and a good lighting, it's going to only benefit you over time because you don't want to have to deal with people just immediately dismissing you because of you having an opinion they didn't care about or just them not thinking that your behavior is that professional. Because professionalism is getting very much skewed nowadays, especially considering that you can do unprofessional things to make $1. And usually, sometimes people will equate making $1 with being professional. So it's very, very important to see that and to know what that means for you. Now, for me as an engineer, making a lot of lists, a lot of math, a lot of crunching, not glamorous stuff, right? But that's what I needed to succeed. What you might need to succeed might be vision boards. It might be networking with the peers around you who've already done this. It might be reviewing people online who you respect and like and seeing if that's something that you want to replicate. Now, you steal with pride in this space. It's unfortunately a part of the game, but you don't want to completely emulate. You know, you want to make sure that when you steal with people that they're like, yeah, man, you stole great. You want to make sure that there's a collaboration to this. And something that might look like theft can very quickly become a nod to someone if you do it correctly. I've seen a lot of people who do it incorrectly and it just comes off kind of callous, right? So that's also an aspect of it, but it's also about seizing the moment. Social media, we were talking about that earlier. It's a game changer. I say this as a person who, when I kickstarted our book last October, had 49 followers on Instagram. Thought I was going to make it. And fortunately enough, I did because I set my expectations very low. We only asked for about $1,200, and we were expecting that if we could get 100 people to read our book, that's awesome. That would mean everything to me, right? And we got to 94, and I was like, good enough, right? I was like, I'm rounding up and we get there, right? And I think that there's something to be said about where I'm at now. A couple of months ago, I had a post blow up on TikTok after just doing it 3 times a day. Like they say, there's nothing more. I was actually trying to stay on schedule. I had all this stuff planned out in this fancy little Jira board, and I'll get to that later. And which post goes on which day in a calendar highlighted with all these little tabs, all this beautiful stuff, right? The post that went viral was the one I used to try and keep up that pace when I was behind. And I said, this is my comic book. It's 48 pages, it's full color, and I think you would like it. I showed him it. I took him through the book page by page. I didn't even show my face, which is the cool part. That was the part I loved. My hair was not done that day. I had a bonnet on. They will never know, right? And I think that that's what marketing looks like. You in your bonnet, in your room, believing in yourself because you know what you need to succeed. I knew I didn't need anything else other than to just put something else out there that day. 500,000 people saw my comic book overnight. 50 orders overnight, which for us, that's half the people who saw the book in the first place when we kickstarted it. We've tripled our social media presence, and that's on top of paying to build it from that 49 follower space. You know what I mean? That was hard. It was hard. I for real thought that it was just going to be, you put it out there and maybe people will care if it's good. And you, it made me very aware of the reality of the world and that you can be quite good and be overlooked a lot. It's not a reflection on you. You're great. You're great. You know it. But now it's time to make the world agree with you. And that's where marketing comes in. It's you persuading them to agree with your worldview for a small second, just so that way you can sell them on your dream. Now that can look like a bunch of different ways, but it comes back to that not tainting your artwork aspect I was talking about. You've done all this work on your art. You don't want to be the guy who ruins it because he decided to do some slapstick after the fact marketing scheme to try and get there. Now, to be fair, if you made your money, I'm not going to judge you. I'm going to be honest. I'm just saying this from a place of, I know there are a lot of people who want to try and do it differently. And it seems like folks who are doing that, the reproducibility on that's pretty clear. It seems like that's, if you do it and you do it consistently, eventually you will say something divisive enough to pop off. Unfortunately, Shine Comics is having to see the unfortunate reality of that right now. You can't just rage bait into the wind and expect nobody to hear you. Yes, go ahead.
Context for someone not into comic books.
Oh, so context. We'll go for that. So right now in Twitter, there's been some beef between a very large comic book YouTuber, Trailer Drake or Comic Drake, and a younger YouTuber and TikToker, Shine Comics. Now Drake's around my age, a little bit older actually, and Shine's 18. So that's the biggest reason why this beef's been a little bit strange for me. I don't know if I believe in arguing with people who are new to adulthood, especially in a professional space. I think it just makes me look bad as a person in a place of experience. But Shine said some very divisive things, and he took it to the point of attacking Comic Drake and his personal relationship with Comic Storian, who, if you know anything about the comic community, we lost Comic Storian last year very tragically to a car accident. So it obviously poked at very, very, very bad nerves. Shine blew up off that, man. You should see the numbers on that video. You should also see all the people who quote tweeted it, making a whole bunch of stuff trying to get at him for what he did and for what he said. Because when you came outside and you decided to shout at the wind, other people decided, wait, I heard that. I'm gonna go shout in the wind too. And now they're making stuff off of your thing. It blows up. It's this whole deal, right? When you blow up, you don't want it to be for a TikTok dance. You don't want it to be for rage baiting. You want it to be for your product, if we're being quite honest. Now, obviously, if you can blow up, beggars can't be choosers. And I say this as a person who'd like to go viral again. I'd love to see another 500,000 eyes on my comic. Exactly, but she still was able to market herself. She had a podcast, all that, got all that crypto money and burned it to the ground. And you know what? Marketing is how she did it. It's an evilly powerful tool, but in the hands of a good person, right? It's an engine. It's an engine. What you feed it is going to be what you go for. Yes, go ahead.
I have a question.
Yes.
Because in context, I was one of the people who actually was trending, well, not, I don't know about trending, but got a lot of attention for just a stupid video. My mom had cut her finger on scissors, so I made just a joke video about me confiscating and hiding all the scissors in the house. And that blew up, so I was getting big views and everything. But then I got really overwhelmed and scared and just stopped using TikTok for ages. So now I'm basically back to square one. I've still got a lot of followers, but no one really notices anymore. So my question is, how do you keep from getting overwhelmed by social media?
Okay, so overwhelmed, very, very good point. Whether you're doing publishing, whether you're doing social media, whatever you're doing in life, if you decide to not join up on someone else's cause, when you decide to make your own banner, if you will, right? There's going to be this immense pressure because you have to be your own compass, right? There is no company culture. You make the company culture. Or if it's not a company, it's just you being yourself. It's, well, what do I think's funny? What's my next big thing, right? There's this pressure to post after you have a big post like that. If TikTok, I keep talking about TikTok, but if y'all seen the Creed edit, the dude that did the viral Creed edit, people have been talking about that also with the whole idea of, well, how do you follow up 10 million views? You know what I mean? I would say that it comes down to that not tainting your art for marketing. And what I mean by that is you saw your mom cut her hand and you immediately said, no, we got to hide every scissor and make a video while we do it. That's funny. That's funny. And it's close to the source of like you knew to hop on that immediately. That's important. And I would argue that you're going to have some duds, you're going to have some misses, but trust yourself. It's kind of like that actor or director type space where like it came to you for a reason. You thought that was funny. And if you trust yourself and believe that like what you think is funny, maybe if you show it to 5 million people, maybe like 1% of those people think it's funny, that's a pretty big crowd of people. That's enough likes, interactions to be able to do something with that. So if it feels overwhelming, know that it's kind of supposed to be that way, but you don't have to engage with everyone. That's the other thing. I know a lot of people, they post 3 times a day. They don't even look at comments. Yeah, you're missing out on some money, in my opinion, if you don't look at comments. But if you're not trying to sell a product, yeah, I mean, why look at the vitriol? Like, why look at people literally telling you what they do or don't like about your thing? You're just you don't have enough time to think about what they're doing. You have to just keep moving. You got 3 posts a day, and then it takes you almost 20 minutes to post. Oh God, you got to make the subtitles. You got to post to all the other places if you're posting on multiple spots, right? All this whole thing, right? It's like a whole protocol to it. And so multiple site posting's hard. Those tools for that's difficult because sometimes it'll format things incorrectly. What I've seen a lot of social media people do, they'll start either at Instagram or TikTok. They'll make the video there so they can get the free subtitles. Then they'll post to either TikTok or Instagram. They'll get that video downloaded on their device, and then they go to the other sites. Now, Instagram's sick because you can post to Threads, Facebook, and Instagram all with one post just by doing a little slider at the bottom of your post when you're uploading. So you get to post to 3 spots at once. Takes a second, but it's way faster than if you had to go and just copy and paste, type everything, do all that. From there, you go to YouTube Shorts, because as long as it's under 3 minutes, you can put to all 3 sites, right? That seems to be what most folks are doing right now. Now, I'm sure that the CS nerds probably have it like automated to a way where it's not going to mess up everything. They've tweaked it, but I would argue, no. Okay, so no, so they're keeping it hard on purpose.
I know programs like Sprout and Hootsuite to do things like time your posts.
Mm-hmm. I have heard about that.
Multiple sites.
Yeah, I have heard about that. Automating posts to make it a little bit easier. Automation on posts is it seems like it's really good. The problem is that work is still getting done. So instead of you having to do your 3 posts a day, now suddenly it's like I need to do 27 posts for the next couple of days or whatever. You know what I mean? It's not the worst. If you're committing to work, right? You're committing to work. It's not that big a deal. But it's just about what type of work you want to commit to, right? It's about you have to know what you need for success, like we were talking about. If you know you can't post 20, if you can't do 27 of a singular thing in a day, break it up, make it easy on yourself. I personally do like to do that. And I guess we can move forward because like social media is tying into my next point. Did that answer your question before I move forward?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I started using those product management tools to kind of make sure I can kind of visualize everything better. When I wanted to quote unquote get serious about TikTok, right? I had been posting for about 2 months. Posts weren't that great. I'm gonna be honest. I was barely keeping up with the post schedule. And it was just me being like, well, I mean, if they care about me, they'll care about me. And it was good enough for the start. It showed progression, and it showed that I wanted to be here even if I don't necessarily, even if my hair's not done, right? I did show up that day. But when I decided to quote unquote get serious, that's whenever I decided I took about a 2 or 3 week break, and I brainstormed 300 unique ideas for social media topics. Everything that would be from creating comics, difference between anime and manga, and manga and comics, history, things like that. Different people in the comic book industry that I wanted to highlight, whether they be creators or publishers, different books that I like, all this stuff, right? Went through and I did that incessant ADHD thing where you go through and you just do it, right? And I have that sitting in Jira, and I do the work in sprints, like as if I was actually doing product management for a company. I decided if I can't find a job in this job market, I'm gonna do it for myself, right? And that was very helpful to getting everything a little bit more top of mind, right? When you say, okay, I need a month's worth of social media, let's go pull 90 pieces of content, let's put them to different days, let's section them out. Now we can record everything. Well, first we need to do, go ahead. First you need to go ahead and script everything, right? Once you know what you want to do, write scripts for everything, because that's going to take a long time. Don't use AI for this stuff. It's a really great opportunity to practice writing in a concise way. I know it's not prose, but it is getting the brain working. And I do think that it has helped me personally writing, getting to do something like that every day, or even just in big spurts. And it's also just a different type of writing. When I was doing engineering, I was doing only technical writing, right? Stuff that you would put, like I was writing paragraphs and then putting a Western blot underneath it. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not really writing different types of stuff is going to help you understand, one, when you're writing technical, when your stuff's boring, things like that, right? But I specifically use Jira. Now, Jira is a free tool. The free version's a little bit limited, but for what I use it for, it's perfect because I'm not trying to automate any like tasks. I'm not trying to make any workflows. Like it's not like I'm like trying to pull in APIs from something like that. But as far as just literally making a task, assigning it to a specific day, holding all of the video document stuff, all of that stuff, and you can use plenty of different things for this. Smartsheet. I've seen a lot of people use Smartsheet for this. There's another one. Is it Oksana? I can't remember. There's another like tool that's supposed to be these intermediates between Excel and like Jira's full-on business application process. But that has been very helpful to try and combat that main issue because that's a rate limiting step. The fact that we can't just go to a tool, put the video in, have it submit to everything and have it much easier, it makes this a much more active business process, especially considering that, you know, someone like me, I'm my own social media manager, I'm my own video editor, my own recorder, all of that. Yeah, you gotta do it all yourself. You gotta find time to do it too. Because you might know how to do it, but there's only 24 hours in a day. I learned that very quickly. I would love to give up sleep if it would not make me worse, but I find very quickly it does. Sorry, go ahead.
I use my personal Discord for time and attention management.
Like, do you have like a bot like for it?
I have a couple bots, but I mostly just punch stuff in I need to get done.
Got you. So just like for accountability purposes, so you can take it everywhere with you as well. Have it on the phone, have it on the computer. I like that. That's a good idea.
So what does Jira do that Word document can't?
Okay, so
It gives you a timeline. I've used it at my first internship. It gives you sort of a timeline, like a calendar to do things throughout the day.
Is it
Kind of
integrated
what
with Google Calendar?
so you can do integrations. It does become a little bit harder though, just because. So the whole idea of Jira is that what if we could take Kanban boards, sprint schedules, forecastings, all of these tools and wrap it up into one big, like this one big platform. I don't want to call it a platform. The words for that are so, you know what I mean? But the reason why it's a lot better than just like a typical word processor is because a typical word processor is going to make you have to you're going to have to visualize the data in a very specific way, whether it be like you making your own tables or you just kind of line iteming things out. It makes it to where you can take all of your work and split them into different tasks or issues. They have like these different like terms for these different types of, I guess, use cases. I guess that's the best way to kind of think of it. A different need for something, I can use this to kind of accommodate it or create a task to kind of remedy this issue. And that's why it's really good is because you can create, it can just be something random. Like I need to get ready for Saboten Con this weekend. And it'd be they'll give you a visualized board. It'll be like to do, in progress, done. And you can have all of your to-do items here. You can click on the next one you want to get started and it'll pull up a description of what this work item is. It'll tell you, you can put how long you think it'll take you to complete. You can put your whole itinerary item and then you can you can store all of your items like from a word processor, from a presentation, all of that into this one big storage space on this app. So now instead of having to know where everything is on your computer, having to map a web drive so that way you can have everything connected between, you can just do it all on web. And it's all cloud-based, makes it easy.
Project management is like 100%.
Oh yeah, 100%. And it scales up with you. You can start out very simple with it just being a Kanban calendar and then kind of moving forward into actually moving towards other tasks. There's a lot you can do with it. The power of the Jira admin is quite high, if you will. A little business management joke for you guys. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
How many people here are familiar with the Eisenhower matrix?
Never heard of it.
We went to college for this thing, dude. I don't think most of us did.
Oh yeah, it's just a little thing where like on one axis it's importance and the other axis it's urgency. And basically, if it's important and urgent, focus on that.
Right.
If it's
Mm-hmm.
important, not urgent, do it later. If it's urgent but not important, delegate it. And if it's not important, not urgent.
Yeah, 4-quadrant type look of like how you can try and understand your work. That makes sense. Kind of like the political alignment, things like that.
Organized my day the other day.
Nice. You know, Jira is really
Just
important for that.
remembered it existed.
Oh yeah, no, and Jira is really cool for that because each one of your Jira items, you can give a priority. You can go from lowest to highest, which is super cool. So like if you have a item that needs to become super urgent, you can go change its urgency. It will move it to top of item. Now, that's honestly enough about Jira. Jira is just a tool. It's not the thing. It's just the thing that gets you to the thing. And I think that that's where I do think that if my one conceit to my presentation to you all today is try to give marketing a chance. I say this as a person who went to school for engineering, who decided to do art afterwards, and then I found out, oh, he has to learn marketing too. Give it a chance. Give it a chance. Because the things you give a chance in life, you are more fully aware of what they actually give you, and you're gripping it much more fully than something that you are unsure of. It's kind of like the first time you hold hands with like the person you like love when you're like a teenager, like in college. Like the first time you kind of hold hands, there's like this kind of hesitation moment. But then like once you kind of really realize that like this feels good, you kind of like, it's like this like almost like instant fidget where like your hand just kind of like locks in around there because it just feels right. It's like your body responded to this making you comfortable. And I think that figuring out how to get that relationship with marketing is very important because no one wants to be put into a space where they feel super duper uncomfortable for a long period of time. How are you going to expect people to give you money while you're uncomfortable? Nervous on top of that, all that antsy energy? Come on, man. People don't want to deal with all that. They're just going to walk past. But if you can really relate to them on like, not necessarily an emotional level because it's a little bit more, you have to be logical here too, right? Emotion kind of comes in as that filigree that kind of just makes you savor the moment, even though it's, once you get that moment, suddenly it feels more important than the other things. But marketing can feel good. I'll put it like that. Marketing can feel good, and it doesn't have to be this ugly word. It doesn't have to be this bad guy in your life. And you can do it however you want to do it. That's like the biggest thing I say here. People comment on my videos sometimes. They have some vitriol. I just don't respond. Straight up. My mom would say it's the water off the duck's back. I'm not that bougie, but I do think that there are some things in life, especially whenever you want to try and do something like this, you have to be able to take shots. And how you take shots, people are looking at that. That also can be a form of intangible marketing, if you will. So now, we talked kind of a bit about this marketing as an art form. Does anyone have any questions on marketing specifics? Like how do you get your brand out there? How do you meet with people? How do you try to become a creator's corner person at an event like this? Anybody have any questions? I'll go ahead and start with you.
Do you use customer personas when deciding to?
I'm from the South and I am multi-generationally mixed. My mom's Black. I don't necessarily, at least for small business owners, I can understand where customer personas can be very helpful. I've done them at my jobs before. I personally do not use them in my small business. I think that when we decide to reduce people down to personas, it can be very easy to forget how you can actually market to them. Yes, we can kind of get this specificity. Oh, I need to go down this part of the flow chart to kind of understand things. But I don't know if the single mom, 2-time degreed, who's looking for a loan on her house needs to get this specific bank option because of this, right? There's like a whole bunch of, I'm using a specific thing from my past when I used to work, but we're making assumptions on people based off of who they are. And then we're trying to sell to them on top of that. That feels like 2 times removed from evil. And I hope it doesn't sound rude. I hope it doesn't sound rude for anybody in the professional space who has to use personas to be able to get their job done. They are very, very useful, but I akin them to profiling in the criminal justice space. MOs are going to be based off of your own bias, which means that that's very limiting. I actually discussed this in my comic. When we decide to limit how we can perceive people, we lose the ability to truly connect to them in ways that we may not have seen. So I do see I do see how if you were to scale, if you have, hundreds of thousands of units coming out of your business over a year, yeah, that could definitely make sense to try and come up with personas to better understand your client base. But I would also argue that there are better ways to do that. Going to conventions, seeing who resonates with your work, who's responding to you on socials, and then trying to create a better big picture. Because I disagree a lot with some of the technical leaps that the business world will take sometimes with things like customer personas and things like that. I think that it can be a little bit limiting. Like, how do you customer persona me? You know what I mean?
On a similar idea, are you limiting or trying to cherry pick the places of which you market, or are you just kind of smearing your brand across all social medias and saying what's next?
That's a very good question. The kitchen sink approach versus the highly focused, I think that this person would like me. It's gonna, especially when you're small, it's gonna take some give and take. When you probably first start, kitchen sink's probably the best way to figure out where you're liked.
Yeah.
But I would also argue there's nothing wrong with being the new guy and coming in, giving somebody your business card and leaving. But having an expectation is a different thing. If you're not getting the love you might expect out wide, that's okay. But it should only kind of deter you from making poor business decisions. Like if you are getting interest from, say, like a local one-day event, you go into the area, you do a pop-up like a few months before, and the crowds is not necessarily, like you don't think the people in the area are definitely resonating with your book, you might want to keep in the back of your mind that area might be a little slow for the future,
Right.
but I'm also not going to just pretend I can't go there and sell my book anymore. So, yeah. But so I think it's about being human about this. And you're obviously evidence can help. I'm an engineer. I love the numbers, but the numbers don't say everything, man. I've been trust the numbers, and then I'm kind of buns out, bro. I'm gonna be honest.
I've definitely seen that for physical location.
Mm-hmm.
You know your audience,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't quite understand the audience for the given socials.
Okay.
So, is there a demographic, or is there a reason you pick one over the other, or is it just go for everything?
Gotcha. Okay, so that's a really great question. So I actually just kind of got more clarity on that recently because I also felt the same way. TikTok operates different than the other socials, and they're about 2 steps ahead of everyone. That's not very far. They're definitely the other socials are definitely constantly changing to kind of match what they're doing. But it's not like a keep them up with the Joneses type effect. It's more so a general change in how social media is kind of moving. Before, social media was definitely more based off virality, what was going to have watch time, clicks, interactions, all these things that we can put to data, right? But now we've had the data for a long time, and certain metrics matter a lot more than others, like audience retention past 7 seconds, things like that. TikTok decided to stop going from this traditional show your videos to your followers type pathway. They decided to start showing it to focus groups of people outside of your audience. Now, sometimes people in your audience can be in that group too, so that they can kind of size up if you're keeping people happy within your group. But they're gonna show about your video to maybe 100, 200, 300 people, and then based off of the metrics on that, that's what they decide if they're gonna send it up further. Now, it's not that cut and dry. There are a million other intangibles like your account health. Do you have flagged videos? Going through and making sure all those things are cleaned up and that your account's clear. All that will affect your visibility a lot. But, oh, sorry, go ahead.
So you're saying, the old thought of you being in your bubble on social media, that's kind of being...
Oh, it's very much gone, very much gone. If anything, I would argue they are forcing you to get outside of your bubble, and people in your bubble actually might see your stuff less than someone who serially watches your stuff but doesn't follow you. I've seen that a lot, especially on TikTok. If people like and repost and stuff, they might not even follow you, but they're just expecting that content to keep coming. So they'll keep putting it on their For You page. And that's big, it's big. Sometimes it takes people, I don't necessarily believe in the rule of sevens, marketing, talking about marketing today. Well, that is one thing I'm skeptical of. But you do have to keep coming back. You do have to keep showing them yourself. And you do have to bonify yourself in the minds of the shopper or the reader or the buyer. They're not going to trust you until they've seen your face a few times. So it definitely, that's why TikTok's awesome though, right? I'm in Kickstarter, right? When we want to try and launch a book, we're trying to get as many eyes on it as possible. We could just say, hey, I'm going to make 90 videos and drop them in 10 days. Even if they only do 300 views each, there's probably only going to be maybe like a 15 to 20% audience similarity between those videos. That's big. That means I can chain that together and kind of, because I'm a small time guy. I get that, like, virality, push for these things, you want big numbers. I'm from Louisiana. I'm from Woodward, Louisiana. We were a village when I was born. We're now a town because we have more than 1,500 people, okay? So I don't care about all of that, all right? I care about our people. Do they want us? And like it's really cool whenever you can kind of see that, like, if you can do essentially a mini con, a one-day event, just by posting 3 times a day and just keep showing your videos to all these cool people. Go ahead. Wait, sorry, did I answer your question? Okay, I can come back to you. Go ahead.
I've been thinking about like bad examples of marketing,
Mhm.
kind of. And I was thinking about a couple examples, but the main one was Transformers 1.
Okay.
Have you seen that movie?
That's the animated, like,
Yeah.
It was goated, right? Super
Yeah, it was
good.
goated.
Yeah,
It was
awesome.
peak.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But yeah, it was marketed like an MCU movie, so it flopped.
Mhm.
How do you avoid being out of touch?
That's a great question. Okay, before I answer, what time? How much time do we got, guys?
It's 1:37.
Oh, okay, we're doing great. Cool.
So,
All right. So
I was thinking,
go ahead.
like,
Keep going.
do you spend time scrolling? How do you really get a handle on what's trendy without being pandering?
Okay, no, that's a really great question. I ask myself that a lot because I was not very popular in school. Went to a very small school, talked a lot. It's not a good combination. And I was put into these spaces constantly where I felt like, to be myself, I felt like I had to kind of make myself smaller or figure out what I needed to kind of do, right? And I think that one thing social media has definitely helped me kind of figure out is like what I like and dislike. If I watch a video and I have a visceral reaction to what that person was doing, I know not to do that. It's just not me. And like, now there is something to be said about pushing yourself to extend further past yourself to do something that's not quote unquote you. That's also important too. That's where a lot of the best dreams are made. But it's also about not doing it because you want to just try to do these things, right? We've seen a lot of streamers, a lot of folks that have to kind of make this pivot from one type of content to the other because they wanted to be seen as more serious over time. That hurts. Yeah, exactly. Like it's a whole thing. And scrolling helps with not knowing how to, because like there are going to be people that you see out, because there's a lot of content. You don't have to like most of it. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. I had to humble myself a lot to get to this point. All right, and I mean that in the sense of I was the dude who used to love to make fun of stuff. Oh, this isn't that cool. What's so cool about that? I used to love being that guy, especially when you're from the small town. It's really easy to be that guy because it gives you serotonin. If I'm being quite honest, you get to talk about something, and social media helped me find out how to not be that guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say you'll be kicked out real quick.
100%. Do you see people do? You see some? Oh, I think that might be. That guy doesn't have the worst take. Go to the comment section. Oh, I was wrong. And I might need to reflect on myself, right? Now, obviously, it's not that bad. It's not that big of a deal. But I do think that you have to research the subject matter a little bit. You do have to be on TikTok. You do have to scroll a little bit. You don't have to make it your life. Don't make it your life. There's a lot of content. But you do have to know what's out there, especially within your niche, because that's I guess a big thing to talk about here. Niching yourself out on socials. The idea of being able to just be the daily vlogger person, very much in the past. It is not 2016 anymore. People do not care about your daily life. You need to show them why.
Our influencers are meant to be niche.
No, exactly. They're supposed to tell you about what you're missing out on. When I think about the OG influence, no, I guess not the OGs. The OGs are like definitely folks back in the 80s working for MTV. But some of the people when I was younger, when I think about like Justine, she was grinding that out well before that was a thing. And like people gave her buku flack for it because she was the quote unquote blonde, pretty girl Barbie type trying to do this thing. She stuck it out and kept doing it because she wanted to, because she knew that there was a niche of people that wanted to see her content. Now, regardless of what you think about her work, she definitely stuck it out and had a full career, right? What can that do to inspire you, right? And that's the other thing. Take inspiration from the people that are better than you. It's okay if you feel a little bit weird when you see something real good. Just don't become the bad guy. Straight up. Don't become the bad guy. Have your thoughts straight up. Because you could have taken 2 more seconds and said, instead of saying, this is dope, I hate it so good, you could have been like, this is dope and I want to be this good one day, right? Like I remember when I first started, like when I first got Sign off the ground, we launched it. I remember I went over to Ash Avenue Comics, a great comic book shop. If you guys need to go buy comics, definitely go to Ash Avenue. It's a great place in Tempe, right by ASU's campus. And I remember I walked in there, I was super hype off of PSION. I went and I picked up Ultimates #1, Mr. Dennis Camp. First time reading Mr. Dennis Camp's work. That book blew me away, man. I legit had been thinking for months about how like I don't know how to really balance prose against good dialogue. It feels like I'm kind of pretending to be Jonathan Hickman sometimes whenever I get too strict on only giving dialogue to kind of push the book forward. And here comes Dennis Camp with dialogue so crispy, and then this perfectly narrated prose that covers the entire of the issue, and it gives meaning and depth and backdrop to every single page. It's like I'm reading Frank Miller back in the 80s, but better because he's not cynical and he cares about people. And for a second, I thought, why am I not this? But then I said, maybe I can be. Like that moment of hate turned into doubt, turned into hope. I had to fight myself. And like, that's really important. You're going to have to fight yourself to be able to be the person that can do this quote unquote successful thing online, because people are going to hate on you. They're going to criticize you. And sometimes they might be right. How are you going to grow past the situation? Because like, I'm 30 years old, man. I can't just keep pretending I can't grow past the situation. I'm not a child no more. I have to try. So I think that it's very important to study, be confident about what you want to do from the people that you've seen that have inspired you, and then execute. Start making videos. Don't copy them, because that's how you end up with the Transformers 1 situation. They're trying to just do the bombastic, show you the big scene, show you the big colors, big robots. I totally get it, man.
And the Joss Whedon-isms.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, quippiness, all of that to try and sell something on some cheeky stuff on a trailer. I get it. But to be fair, Transformers 1 was awesome. Who cares if it flopped? The art got out there, man. We got a cool movie. We got to see Megatron happen, man. Mm-hmm. We got to see Prime get the Matrix leadership. Now, I mean, it wasn't canon to the original, but it was dope. It was pretty cool. I liked it. It was a great movie. And like I think you know what it might also be? There's the death of the cult classic happening. You know, the death of mid-market movies, death of the cult classic because of streaming and things like that. It's up to us to figure out what making a new cult classic looks like in the social media space, because we can do it a lot faster than the folks did before. They had to wait till VHS release before they could even start that process. We can do it as soon as it happens in the movie theater, if I'm being honest, just because of how much we can kind of get it to people. And yes, you don't have to be perfect at the start. There's gonna be a lot of people who just don't get there at that first point. You're not supposed to necessarily, you kind of need to keep going. And you can find your audience later on and figure that out. Like, I would argue that Transformers 1 found its audience once it got to streaming. Like, once I got to it, I told everybody, you better go watch this movie. So that might also be a part of it, man. It might also be about knowing that you might not be able to do things how the big folks do it. You might have to figure out how to do it something yourself.
I was also thinking
I remember I know you had a question as well. Go ahead and finish up.
I was also thinking about the movie Fixed,
Mm-hmm.
How it got viral for being so negative.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just, there was like a hate campaign against it that said the whole thing looks bad, and then they found out, oh, this looks great. Why didn't they market it like this?
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole YouTube thing kind of pivoted to it and against the marketing team. So I kind of realized Fixed's marketing campaign might have been counting on this and it being a success.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, you don't plan to fail, straight up. Like, especially when it comes to marketing and things like that, you're not necessarily planning to fail. You plan to succeed, and if you do fail, that's when you start selling things off, right? The failure is usually you not getting to do it again in that type of industry. So that's very important.
So, quick fire.
Mm-hmm.
What are some do's and don'ts on today's current social marketing for videos?
Okay, so I'll start with the don'ts, because that's a little bit easier.
Don't bash your competitors.
100%. 100%. there are going to be, if you make something, there are going to be people who come in your comment section and says, this clears blah, 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 blah. Or if you're on the other end, you get cleared by. That's awful, man. We're not out here making art just for y'all to compare us to one another. It's a little bit disrespectful, in my opinion. But that being said, I'm not about to tell the readers what to do with their respect. I just want their money. We'll get their respect once they read the comic book, right? Well, yeah, we'll get their respect once we read the comic book. But you don't want to bash against your competitors. 2, you don't want to become too much of a talking head. There's a lot of people who think that them ranting into a camera for 3 minutes is the same as having a point. It's not. It can feel that way because you'll get views and people will comment on it and things like that. But a year down the line, whenever you could have had something that was maybe more searchable, more SEO based, not trying to say drop in SEO keywords into your videos. Don't do that. If you script a video out before, the SEO terms will naturally kind of fall into place. If you just kind of thought about what you want to say beforehand, if that makes sense. You're naturally going to think about the other popular things people are thinking about when they talk about this topic. So definitely don't do that. I would also say don't do too much of the same type of content. You have to diversify it. There's this lady, Lana, on TikTok. She does TikTok growth courses and stuff. She mentions having like a funnel for sales, right? And the way she does that is by doing, if you're doing 3 posts a day, she'll do 3 different types of videos to kind of get you into that funnel. And then as she kind of narrows things down, she'll then hit you with the sale, right? So like she says, beginning of the day, start with something that kind of just shows you who you are. It's high, it's cheery, it's kind of in front of the camera, maybe front facing. It lets people know who you are, that you're kind of here to help. And maybe you have like a helpful tidbit. That's really helpful. Like if you have like a tip or a trick or like maybe even just like, I want to go do this day, very helpful. Second thing you want to do is you want to have some sort of like daily derivative. For me, that's my podcast. I do a podcast for comics, Back of the Long Box. And me and my friend Don, we're both comic writers, so we made a podcast. Cliche enough, but we try to not be two terrible guys with podcast mics, right? And we do a video for that every day for our second one. It kind of also feeds, yeah, one every day. Well, but to be fair, our videos, we do about 2 hours for our podcast, so it makes it really easy to clip those into 3-minute videos. Yeah, 100. Yeah, and you can get about a month's worth of content from one. It ends up cutting out pretty well, right? From there, that's when you hit them with the sales video, and you had to be kind of cool because now if you went morning, middle, night, it's nighttime. People are not the most willing to spend money after they just got off of work, not unless it's like food, right? So you want to be direct. You don't want to waste their time. You wanted to show them the product. That's how I kind of went viral. I posted that video just saying, this is PSION. Here's the interiors. It's a thriller on a college campus. If you like supernatural stuff, if you like Southern stuff, you should check this out, right? If you can repeat that kind of process, like the, hey, how are you doing? Here's a tip. Here's a sneak peek of what I kind of do as like a validating video, a bona fide video, something that kind of shows you, not necessarily that you're an expert, but that you do this seriously or that you're at least kind of getting it done. And then a sales video. Now, I'm at that 3 times a day posting schedule. You could definitely do this with 2. I did it with 2 a day for a long time where it was just Back of the Long Box video about like either comics or about my comic. And that worked really well for a while as well. So diversification of your content is very important. I'll then go down to the do's. I'll switch over to do's. One thing you definitely want to do, reply to comments. Comments are going to come in when you finally get some traction. Take that opportunity to make a video for it instead of just typing out a comment. Now, some comments you're going to have to type out just because of speed, context. Not everything needs a video response because that can become very annoying really quickly. And you don't want to annoy your base either, right? But if someone says, hey, I'm trying to get into comics, I don't really know anything about colors. How should I like color my comic? You can just like reply to it, give it like a quick little minute in front of the camera. Hey, so colors, blah, 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 blah. If you don't know what to do, reach out to somebody. I did that earlier like this week, right? And like, that's still good enough to get people and get more visibility on your comics. And people love that because they want help. Like if you've done something already, help people out, straight up. Even if it's just for the pure teaching aspect of it, although I know some people are going to want to get some sort of mutualistic altruism out of this, right? And you need something, right? You're getting views, you're getting interaction, you're getting all of that, right? So if you need that to do this, you are getting that in return. It's a really natural way to be able to do it too, because you're just having a dialogue, you're having a conversation with somebody. So definitely respond to comments, and respond to comments with videos when you can. From there, you want to collaborate with the people around you. There are a lot of people, when you pick a niche, who also want to niche themselves within it. Now, it is a small subgroup, but that's to your advantage. That is to your advantage. Because of the fact that it's a niche, you were fighting to be seen. Once you do, most of the people in the group probably will. I was surprised how many people who are big comic book people followed me back after PSION got popped off. And I was like, that's nuts. I thought that no one cared. I thought they didn't care. No, they just didn't know about me. They didn't know about me. So that's really important. Now that I did that, I was able to collaborate with Danny J. Quick. He's a creator of Ace Blade. He has a really, really big following. He bought our comic book, made a whole video about it. That was super sick. So I was very quick to go buy his trade paperback and do the same thing. Because one, I love comics. Two, trade paperbacks are awesome. If you can put a comic book on the shelf as a spine, sick. That's another whole marketing tip. It's a whole other conversation for marketing about how spines make it a lot easier for you to be able to get your book into places like Barnes & Noble and things like that. But collaborating with him was big. Just because I felt seen. Straight up. I know that he's been out here doing this for a while, and he took a chance on me and said, you know what, I see you, you're doing something too. So that was super sick. So I guess second do is collaborate with the people around you. The third do, there's nothing wrong with a little magic. And what I mean by that is, I used to do theater in high school. I did not like a lot. I did one show. I got to play Judas in Godspell. And I learned a few magic tricks backstage with the makeup. You know what I mean? No, I'm not wearing any today because I'm going to sweat that off very quickly, ripping and running around. But in front of the camera, it's awesome. It makes it to where I can record 4, 5, 6 a.m. off of an all-nighter and not look tired. That's big for me, considering that I have to work a whole day job. You know what I mean? So there's nothing wrong with a little bit of magic. Hang up that cool comic book artwork behind you on your wall so that way you can have that as your backdrop while you're telling people about the hobby you love. Show them that you are a part of this world so that way they won't think, who the heck is this guy talking about comics? Well, there's a signed poster on the wall that he got from the artist. That's what that dude knows about comics. You know what I mean? And like on top of that, people will have a dialogue about you. Yo, dude, I know that artist. He's my friend. That's super sick. You bought artwork from him. Like, yeah, all of that it makes you feel do things that make you get seen by the right people. And like the right people, they're gonna see that type of stuff and they're gonna respond. Are you okay? Do you need some water? Okay, just want to make sure. No, you're okay. So it's very important to remember to do that as well. I guess one last do for social media is stick it out. I didn't want to. I'm gonna be very honest. After I posted Back to the Long Box videos for like about a month straight and didn't get any traction, 6 subscribers on the YouTube, right? It was hard to, obviously me and Dune went and recorded that video, but it was very hard to justify editing it. I'm gonna be honest, it felt hard. I've definitely procrastinated for 2 weeks on it. And that just set me up to do worse, man. I'm gonna be honest, that episode was about the new Black Panther book, The World to Come. We were about 2 weeks past the relevancy, and it was still a great video. We got a bunch of content out, but once I started clipping out the videos, being on that 2 week behind curve, it felt like we were old hat, and there was no reason for me to do that because I should have just stuck it out and believed in myself, and it kind of kept going. Now it's gonna be hard, knowing to take breaks. Like I took my break to kind of get serious and get I made a bunch of backlogs of videos before all of this. If that makes sense. Like I had about 30 videos done before I decided to start reposting, so that way I could okay, I'm not doing my hair for like 4 days straight. You know what I mean? Like that type of deal. But that's, I think, the biggest do. Stick it out. Low views, bad comments, people telling you you're doing it wrong. If you did the things we talked about today, it's very hard for people to say you're doing it wrong when you're being true to yourself. Now, if you're being a vitriolic person and that's true to yourself, we may have more questions to ask than just how do we market one's comic book, or just one's product. But I do believe that there is an art to marketing. I genuinely do. I believe that the guy who knows the markets is an artist. That guy who can talk to you and you don't care, you're willing to have the conversation. That guy's an artist. He figured out how to not piss people off enough to talk to them. That's pretty cool.
So you are selling comics.
Yes, I am.
But you have yourself in a lot of your videos.
Yes, I do. Yes.
Why?
So that's a very good question. I didn't for a very long time. When we launched PSION, I only made 2 videos in front of 3 videos in front of the camera. I made one announcement video. way too much work on it, if I'm gonna be honest, for what it was, and I formatted it wrong. I tried to do like this whole like dun 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 dun, like my I tried to do the Superman bust to the chest with my logo underneath it. Yeah, cliche. But then I did another video where it was like 2 videos essentially that were supposed to be ads for the Kickstarter. I thought that was going to be enough. Just 2 ads. I'll put those out there, and if they pop off, they pop off. Right? I'm only recording 2. I realized very quickly that people want to know the guy that they're buying the comic book from. And in my specific case, they definitely want to know who I am. I'm writing a comic book about kids who go to a fictional HBCU based off my time as a student at Jackson State University. They want to make sure that the very lightly melanated person who's selling them a black comic book is actually black. So I 100%. They're spending money on me. They need to know. It's like I don't fault them for wanting to know. They're spending their hard-earned money. They're spending their time on me in a derivative. So if I can just take a few seconds to show them my hair, have a dialogue with them through the phone, parasocially, if you will, and just, say I'm here. I'm here, I'm a person, I do stuff. And if you want some cool comics, I got some. Cool comic, I have 1 so far. But yeah, it took me a while to realize that that's actually a part of it, because I didn't think it would matter. I genuinely didn't think it would matter. I thought the product sells itself, right? Why do I need to be a part? You don't see Jerry, well, to be fair, that's a bad example. You definitely see Jerry Jones promoting himself and the Cowboys a lot at the same time. But I guess, you're not going to see, like there isn't, like the CEO of Nike is not going to come out here and start, whacking a golf ball around being like, yes, what a great quarter for Nike. You know what I mean? It's just not, like, you might have to be like an Apple tech CEO to be doing something like that. And even still, tech is another, I would argue tech and comics share a similar thing there, where tech and art work off of this idea of selling you mystery. Art sells you something, it sells you awesomeness. Like, it sells you majesty, something that just can sit on its own and be something without serving a purpose or having a function. It doesn't have to be a craft. It can just exist as it is, and that's lit. Technology's different. It works off of an abstraction. If the way technology succeeds is by hiding how it works from you. You don't need to know how it works, but you need to know it will work for you. And like, if you know how to work it, you don't need to know how to flip a bit or ones and zeros inside. You don't need to know how transistors work for you to be able to work an iPhone. That's kind of the similar mystery I would argue that art and technology work from. That's why I would argue art is inherently a little bit more magical space to be in, because we don't have to work off of abstraction in this space. We actually are just kind of selling the majesty for what it is, whereas tech has to kind of pull in the smoke and mirrors and be, the Wizard of Oz for a little bit to kind of get you, because if you try to explain a cell phone to someone, they probably wouldn't buy it. Well, there's this radio, and it takes in these different high frequency waves, and you can then send messages through waves in the air. And they're like, so LTE is going to kill me? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're immediately going to go to 5G and radios. So art's kind of fun because you don't have to hide the sausage making process. You can showing them the sausage making process actually makes them trust you more, which is kind of cool. So I guess it's equal and opposite in that regard. They're kind of on different sides of the same coin, I would argue then. So I guess it sounds like we're close to time, are we? All right. Thank y'all so much. This was my very, very first panel. I really appreciate y'all for coming. I was really nervous I was going to have to do the whole nobody came to my first panel video for TikTok. So thank y'all so much for coming. And I hope I gave y'all something you needed.
Yeah, learned a lot.
Oh, I'm at Creators Corner, CC5. If you have any questions, let me know. I also have business cards up here. If you have questions on needing to do self-publishing, marketing online, just tips and tricks, you want to just say hi, hey dog, hey cat, I'm here. And yeah, I'm on socials and you can find me. Mark Bandy. It's nice to meet you guys.